All right, hi. Thanks for joining us today. I am somewhere near Basingstoke, visiting the packaging experts, and I'm joined by Paul Marsh. Do you want to give yourself a quick introduction, Paul?
Yeah, so my name's Paul Marsh. I'm the Managing Director and owner of the Packaging Experts based in Basingstoke. We've been established for 5 years and work in all types of paper and board packaging in what we would call low volume, so anything from 1 to 50,000 units.
Perfect. So we've travelled up today to talk to Paul about a bit about the business, a bit about the market, a bit about how these guys do what they do. You can probably see in the background there's a couple of bits of our kit here, but there's some other stuff as well which we'll talk through. And as I said, if you've got any questions or anything, please do pop those into the chat box, and if not, you can get in touch after the event. So we'll kick off with a few questions then. We'll just check into the chat box to see if all of you can hear us okay. Hopefully everybody's logged in and can hear us fine, which is looks like it. The mic's on. So Paul, can you tell us a bit about what it is you guys do? You just mentioned they're based in paper and card packaging.
Yeah, so the base of the business is paper and board. So I guess what you may refer to as sort of your toothpaste carton or your cereal carton, which is a folding box board to us, through to the corrugated boxes, which are the shippers you'd use if you move house, and then your paper over board end, which is your luxury sort of jewellery and these types of boxes here. So that's your high end. So what we'll do is we generally take a project or brief from an end user, and then because we deal in different ends of the spectrum, we will then offer a solution that's suited best to your requirements, not necessarily best suited to our manufacturing capabilities.
Okay, and I've had a quick look around today and seen some of the bits and bobs that you do, and we'll show a few more throughout here. But is it just the packaging then that you work in? Is there other...
So we've got two main areas of the business. We've got the Packaging Experts and the MPC, which is the Marketing Production Company. So the Packaging Experts, as it sounds, we concentrate solely on packaging and fulfillment. So we can design a box for you that you then manufacture in tens or hundreds of thousands in the Far East or in India or somewhere like that. Or we can do an end-to-end solution where we will produce your packaging, we'll source the content, we'll fulfill it, pack it, and then ship it globally. And then the MPC side of the business is, it was set up to act as an extension of your marketing department. So obviously packaging is rolled into that, but then some of the more common marketing assets like promotional merchandise, print management, again the fulfillment, event management, large format printing, which obviously is the machine behind for things like banners and wall art and graphics and such like.
Brilliant. So it's quite a bit, but I guess
very diverse.
Yeah. And how long have you been working in packaging?
So personally, I've been working in packaging for 15 years. So I've been in and around the marketing industry for probably about 22, 23 years, but started off in media, so media replication, at which time it was floppy disks, then it became CDs, and then everything became a download. So obviously where we got our expertise in the packaging from what was software at the time, which obviously just doesn't really exist anymore, we then took that into retail and promotional packaging and presentation boxes and all those sorts of things.
Okay, so you would class packaging as being in the marketing sector then, rather than say
I would, absolutely, yeah. Mainly because your packaging is there to sell your product for you, and you can't be there to sell it for yourself. So it has to carry the right branding, the quality of the finish, the quality of the design. Everybody refers to Apple and the box opening experience and things like that, and that's what everybody wants. I mean, it's probably going to be hard to visualize here, but I will do my very best. So with this box here, this is a subscription box that we've made for someone, and I handed them a particularly flat service, but they wanted the box to sell clothes. So this is either going to work or it's not. So there you go, very slowly. Okay. But you can see it just working its way down. It's just got content in. But yeah, that they wanted it to sell clothes and have that air, that vacuum in it. So there was that air of luxury. But as with most forms of walks of life, people would want as much as they can get for as little as they want to pay for it. So everybody wants the paper overboard. Not everyone can afford it, but as I say, we're there to be able to walk them through that journey and say to them, well, look, these are your options. This is 50p, this is £5, this is £50. Now which ones you want? Yeah. And then try and hone in on it a bit and talk about embellishments such as foiling, lamination, spot UV, all those sorts of things to say if you add this, it adds an extra 10p a unit. If you add this, an extra pound a unit or whatever it might be. But for me, packaging is 100% marketing. I mean, we've worked on projects in the past with confectionery companies who had a very big thing in their business was that they didn't use palm oil in the production of their chocolate, and obviously they wanted to save the habitats of orangutans and things like that. So they made a big thing of it on their packaging. They came to us because sales were pretty static. There was nothing really happening in their business. The feedback on the quality of the product was good, but there was something missing. And my first reaction when I looked at it was that I couldn't even tell it was a bar of chocolate, because one had an elephant on the front, one had an orangutan, one had a lion, because they were giving 10% of their profits to these things. So we completely changed it. And then they became one of the largest importers of chocolate into Mexico, into their Liverpool stores, which is, I guess, their equivalent of Selfridges. So obviously all the raw cacao was coming from South America, then being processed here, and then via Belgium, and then going back again. So that was quite interesting, that just the change of the design, not the change of the style of packaging or the materials or anything. It was literally the design of the ink on the box.
Messaging.
And that's what we changed, and it had a huge impact on their business overnight.
Brilliant. That's a nice story, isn't it?
Yeah.
So why did you get into packaging?
The reason I got into packaging, I mean, I kind of fell into it because obviously with the demise of what we did have as the software reproduction industry, in the old days, you'd have a software kit which was 10 floppy disks. They could have been a couple of £1 each. Then it became, so that's a £20 set. Then it became a CD worth £2, and then it was a download which was free. So we had to diversify, and we were trying to work out the best way for it to work. So I just took my knowledge from packaging. Because it seems quite straightforward, but it's quite a complicated thing to understand, and it's not an industry where it's a race to the bottom. So with everybody else, everyone's trying to undercut each other, do it cheaper, sell it on eBay, sell it on Amazon, whatever it might be. But with packaging, you just can't do that. There are commercial print setups now where you can go on and order your business cards for 15 quid or whatever it might be. And with packaging, I guess there are companies out there that buy 100,000 of a standard size box that you can put a logo on that's in China, but if it's out of stock, you can't have it. If it's slightly the wrong size, and you're shipping it, your volumetric shipping weights are going to be higher than they need to be, so it's going to end up costing you more money. But some people don't realise there's the sort of on costs of packaging and things like that. So for me, it was solely because it could never be a Me Too industry. Barriers to entry are quite high. You've got to know what you're doing in terms of construction design, manufacturing. You've got to understand the pitfalls. And lots of people try it. Lots of people try to get into packaging, printers especially. But what you find is that they will be undercutting jobs, but they'll be printing on a silk stock, so like a 400 gram silk, which is like a business card stock, rather than a folding boxboard. So it doesn't have the same qualities when you're creasing it and folding it and things like that. And you obviously get cracking on the spines. So lots of people will try to get into packaging, and it will just become too much of a headache, and then they won't bother anymore. But
and all those little things like the spine cracking, whatever it is, did you learn all that from trial and error, or was it from experience?
It was a case of when I found something that worked, that was I don't want to say failure proof, because sometimes you do get like an odd laminate that's not got the right quality on it, it splits and things like that. But once I found a formula that worked, I haven't changed it. So for example, I'll always use a 150 test E-flute amount of 200 gram silk to it for my litho lamination work. Some people will put a 150 on it. Some people will mount a folding boxboard, or what they call a white line chipboard, to a single face flute. They're acceptable ways of doing things, but you get what's called flute shadow. White one here, you probably can't see on the camera, but the flute shadow is where you can see the lines, where obviously the glue has been affected. And if you can use a 200, that negates that. You can see a lot worse. So for me, I know that someone could undercut me, but it wouldn't be a like for like. And that's always a challenge, is when you're trying to specify a job, people are generally doing it from a picture. So I will always sample and say, well, physically, this is exactly what you're going to receive. Because it's like if you buy pens. If you buy pens off the internet, you can look at two, they look exactly the same. You hold one and it feels like it's going to fall apart in your hand, and you hold the other one, there's a bit of weight to it, and a bit of quality to it, and things like that. So
I think that's an interesting point you're saying about the market not being a race to the bottom, I guess, because so much of it is, especially in our industry, a lot of what I get asked a lot on the academy is things like that kind of question. You know, everybody's trying to undercut me. How do I differentiate, or how do I stand out? So how do you find that you differentiate or stand out?
I say no to work.
Yeah.
Some people don't. Some people will. In the old, I say the old days. I don't make myself like an old man, but there was a thing about printers when I worked for printers that they would buy jobs, and it would be a case of the press is empty. Let's just get it for the material cost and a bit of ink or whatever it might be, and run the job because we're paying the people's wages. So let's try and recover whatever we can. So for me, it's about saying no. I've got a very consultative approach in my selling. I don't ever try and sell. I'm quite fortunate in the sense that people will come to me through recommendations and ask me for advice on how to manufacture things, what materials to use, all those sorts of things. Some of the big industry, our big industry partners, companies like Burgo Pack have got the patent on the slider box technology. They will always. Have you not seen one of those?
I probably have.
Shall I go and grab one quickly?
Sure, why not?
Just next door.
Help to explain it.
Yeah, it's going to be a nightmare to explain. So I'm going to grab one.
Bear with us a minute. We'll just see. Get Paul to get a sample for us. I guess when you're talking through different technologies and types of packaging, I'm no expert, so I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't know exactly what you mean when you say these.
Yeah.
Things.
So this is from our friends at Burgo Pack, and if you watch the camera, if you pull one end, the other end comes out.
Okay.
So they have the patent on the technology within it.
Okay.
So if there's ever any projects that they don't suit them or that don't suit them in quantities, then they'll quite happily send their customers to us, and we'll help them out where they can't, and vice versa. Obviously, because it's a patented product, we can't produce this without Burgo Pack. So we would then either send our customers to them or work with them in partnership to create solutions for our customers, which we've done lots of times before. Also, some of the chaps at GF Smith, because we use their papers for the paper overboard, they'll point people in our direction, which is really nice. So I guess being such a young company, but having the support of such big industry giants in this country is it's really nice, and obviously it helps support what we're doing and reinforce to us that we're doing a good job. And looking after things. Obviously, they wouldn't want to recommend us if we're going to make a hash of it.
And so on to another sort of bit about the market again and the industry that you're working in. Have you seen the market change much since since the packaging experts started?
So there's nowhere near as many manufacturers in the UK, specifically of the paper overboard. Also,
when you say paper overboard,
so paper overboard
in layman's terms
is like a shoebox. So it's where you take a either anything from 1,000 up to 2,000 or 3,000 micron solid board, and then you'll mount paper to it, so you'll wrap it around it. So that's it's just a lid. So like a shoebox lid.
Yeah.
So paper overboard, there used to be quite a big industry in, I'd say, sort of Yorkshire and the Midlands and places like, which there still are some companies doing it, but you've seen from the growth in the Far East and in more recent years, India have taken a lot of that work on because we can't compete with their labour rates. I think it'll go full circle because they have because in China specifically they have a commitment to obviously increase the quality of life for people and increase the minimum wage and things like that. I think it will get to a point where it's a bit more balanced. Obviously, Brexit recently hasn't helped with all the uncertainty, but I think offshoring of manufacturing has been a big thing. I think specifically in Basingstoke printers as well. We used to probably have 6 or 7 very large printers. We've got one quite small one now. So the demise of, I guess, not manufacturing, but the way consumers and businesses buy product now, it's not so localized. You can buy, as long as obviously it's managed correctly, you can buy anything from anywhere. The world's become a very small place. If you're happy to deal with in Europe or buy from the US or China or wherever it might be, you can do that. And obviously it opens up your opportunities and the prices and things like that dramatically. But that's kind of why we brought that manufactured in-house, because very few, by comparison, very few people were doing paper overboard, and it was quite a difference in the type of business. They were either huge and had lots of automated production, or they were quite small, like book binders and things like that. They were just doing packaging things on the side. The big companies weren't interested in the small numbers, and the small companies were, I guess, stuck in the old ways of doing things. So sometimes you'd have to wait a week for a price.
Yeah.
And in this day and age, it's just, you can't do it. You've got to be able to quote within
so you fit in
hours.
that middle bit where you can do the smaller work.
Sort of shoehorned ourselves in, yeah. So
nice.
we don't do it all under one roof, and we look at trying to specialise the bits that we can do to add the most value, or to take away the most pain.
Yeah.
Because it's always lead time.
Well, I guess having that consultative approach as well, where people can come and talk to you and get a sample in their hands.
Yeah, I mean, we've done it in the past for agencies on behalf of high street retailers, and they've been very upfront. They said that this is the box we want, but you're not going to make it, but we need you to make one so we can send it to our factory in China, because they're just going to literally copy it. Yeah. We want you to send a sample and then all the grids and the templates and the cutting guides and everything like that, and we're happy to do it.
Okay, so you'll do the prototyping part of it, but as well as doing small to mid-run production. Yeah, because
I guess if you were taking that kind of work to a design agency, it would probably, and I've got designers here and I work with lots of design agencies, so I don't want this to come out the wrong way, but it would always look very nice, but whether the construction of it works, we don't know until we try, and that's why we have the CAD machine downstairs and the printers here, because we want to prototype, we want to make one, because we've done it in the past where we've made something based on a theory or based on a standard FEFCO design off of some CAD software, and then when you go to put it together, it's not quite right, so we tweak it a little bit. And in the old days, we were doing that by hand. We were cutting them out with a scalpel and a ruler. So, gone are those days, thank God. But we can make a sample. If it doesn't work, we can make another one within 10 or 15 minutes. It's not going to take very long at all. But yeah, that's the service we offer in terms of either end of the spectrum and anything in between. I mean, I always talk about it with people like a pick and mix. It's like, this is everything we can offer from start to finish. You can either have everything, or you can just pick the bits you like and fill in the gaps yourself. We do work for printers where they'll supply flat sheets and we just convert them. We'll do fulfillment where we'll make the boxes, somebody will send us the content and we'll pack it for them. We'll do whatever makes sense for you as an end user. Yeah.
Brilliant. And so, speaking of that, what kit do you have? So we can see.
So in terms of
in the background,
Roland kit, we've got Versa UV LEF 200, which is a UV-based machine. Just about see that, yeah. Which was primarily bought based on a project that we did for Kinder. I'll show you these. So there's sort of a pre-printed and a post-printed option. There's an orange and a blue there. So we printed 28,000 blanks, which was this one, and then we personalised it in store at John Lewis with people's names. So you'd go in, buy your Kinder egg, give them your name. It would be on a pre-approved list of, I think it's about 280,000 names. And if your name wasn't there, you couldn't have it. Yeah, absolutely. I know. And that was only because a similar project had been run with Nutella in previous years, and it was an open book thing, and obviously lots of things came out in the press about not obscene names, but cheeky and rude little things that were printed on the pots. So
keep it clean.
Yeah, exactly, because obviously it's their brand that's carrying it, so you've got to be really careful. So they thought, we're going to lock this down. So the reason we bought that printer is we put two of the 12s, which is a smaller version, which I'm not sure is that still being.
Yep, the LEF 12. It's the LEF 12i now.
So it was the LEF 12. It might have even been the I. So we put two in. So we had two print positions in each one, so we could print, I guess, 4 at a time. Because of the small print area, it took minutes to do end to end. Like I say, over a 3-month period, October to December, we did 28,000 boxes, completely personalised, through an app that we developed with a partner, a coding company, and it talks directly to the RIP. So we're in the process now of developing a website that will do exactly the same thing. You can go online, you can choose your box, you can choose your materials, you can upload your artwork, and then you can personalise it if you want.
Well, it's huge at the moment, personalisation. I guess you are seeing that as well.
It's massive, yeah, absolutely. I mean, personalisation can be anything you want it to be. I think people still struggle to understand what's possible.
I guess most people see that side of it. They stick your name on something as the base level, but I guess I see quite a lot from what we can do with the kit. I was going to say,
you're in a very luxurious position that you can see it day in and day out. I mean, we see it a lot. I mean, we'll brand anything on the UV printers. Obviously, you can print on wood, metal, perspex, paper. So we've printed, as well as packaging, we've printed on notebooks, pens, promotional merchandise, acrylic plaques, dye bond sheets, all sorts of things. It's a really versatile machine. The reason I went for the 200 was purely down to size. It did everything I needed it to do. I think the 300 was just a wider bed, but it wasn't any deeper or any higher. So to me, generally boxes are square or a little bit rectangular. They're never going to be like an umbrella box where it's just long and thin. So I thought, I don't need the extra space at the moment. I'd much rather wait and then have multiples of this machine rather than just one bigger one.
Yeah, that makes sense. You can always do more on different ones on each one, I guess.
Exactly, run things concurrently.
How long have you had that?
We've had that since December. So since the second week of December, so probably only 4 or 5 months really working, but we chucked a load through it. We had a job placed on a Thursday, required in Germany the following Tuesday for 1,000 multi-cable keys, and we were able to print them all in one day. So we manufactured the jig ourselves downstairs on the CAD table, made the jig, went and picked the stock up, and then just got printing. It was fantastic. It was incredible. We at the time we accepted the order, we said we would get out as many as we can because we'd never really pushed it to its limit before. Yeah. We were expecting it would take us a couple of days to do 500, and it did a lot in a day. So
it's amazing.
Absolutely chuffed to bits. Yeah.
It's quite high in production. And the other kit you've got, obviously, got the SP540i.
So the SP540i, yeah. So we've got that and an easy mount laminator to go with it, and that's only been here for about 3 weeks. We bought that for large format printing, so wall art, signage, pull-up banners, outdoor banners.
Do you use it for the packaging side as well?
We use it for prototyping for packaging. So any box that's got a blank that's either too large for the UV or too large for a standard digital print, we will print onto vinyl and mount it. So in the same way that we do our paper overboard, we would just swap the paper and put a laminated vinyl over it just to prove a concept.
Use the laminator to apply to the board?
We do on the inside, but when you're making up a paper overboard box, you have to do it when it's in its 3D state.
Okay.
So it's called staying. So what you would do is you would stay the corners. So on this one, we would mount this to the inside when it's a flat sheet. It would then be cut to the shape of like a Maltese cross, and then you would bring the sides up and put tape in each corner and stay it, and then you would put this print around it, you'd put it down and then wrap it. And then you've got to do that however many thousands of times somebody wants it. So that's the kit we've got up here, and then downstairs we've got 3 different types of foiling machines, 2 of which we can do variable data on. It's limited variable data, it's similar to old-fashioned letterpress, but that was more for special editions for your numbers, or putting people's monograms and things like that onto boxes. And
do you do a lot of that? Do you do a lot of foiling work? Do you find that people still want a lot of that? I guess that technology's been around for a
long time. It's been around as long as the paper overboard. I mean, foiling is still very popular. It's an interesting thing because I think that there's a perception in the market of what is possible, and that's kind of where people gravitate to. So not a lot of people will ask for personalisation foiling because they just don't know it's there. It's like personalisation on boxes. They just don't know it's there. And it's the same technology that that we're using to print this would be what we use to do the personalisation. So obviously what you're printing, it doesn't matter. It's just how you do it. So I guess between Roland and us and all our Roland partners, I guess, out there, we just need to make sure that we can educate people about what is possible. We're doing a lot on our website. Hopefully this webinar helps. Whenever we have people in, we show them the capabilities of the kit that we've got. Plant the seed, if you like, but we need to do more in terms of walk around here with videos.
It's always been our philosophy at Roland. You've been down to our place, to the Creative Centre, and I say it to any customers really who come on the courses. We try and promote the idea that if you've got any sort of a station where people collect whatever it is that they're buying off you, if you've got little samples of the different things that you can create, people like I said, people don't realise what is possible, especially with something like an LF.
That's insane. I mean, the problem we have, and we've discussed this before we started the webinar, is that customer work always comes first. So I've got a list a mile long of things I want to do and things I want to brand, and the doors, the windows, the floor, everything. Just so when people come in, it's it's like a branded building almost, with all the trash and trinkets in between that show what we can do. But yeah, never get around to it. So.
It's good to be busy.
Yeah, nice problem to have, as they say.
And so what was the LEF? You said does that play a big part in your production and the SPI?
Yeah, so with the website that we've been developing a website for probably 7 or 8 months now, and that will form the same. Or it's based on the same technology that we use for the app for Kinder, where the end user will be talking directly to the RIP on the printer. So we, as myself and my staff and my colleagues, won't have to get involved. So yes, we'll have to take the board off of a shelf and cut it to a shape, but then it's a case of the machine will say, use this jig and put a yellow box in slot 1, a blue box in slot 2, whatever it might be, and then press print, because the job will already be sitting in the print queue. So
yeah,
it just the idea behind it was, obviously you've got your Moonpigs for your greeting cards and your Moo.coms for your business cards and your Vista prints and all those sorts of guys, and it was about developing something as close to that as I could for packaging, but without devaluing the packaging. So our system is never going to be stack them high, sell them cheap. I'm never going to say I've got an A4 box that's 30mm deep and it's 50p each. It's not, that's not what we can do. We'll have an A4 box that's probably 30mm deep. It won't be 50p. It'll be whatever the cost is based on the materials. But if you as an end user went on the site and went, I'd like that bottle when it's 70mm, there'll be an area where you can just submit it, and within 24 hours that will exist.
Yeah.
Because we will work to your demand in terms of, the money you will save by buying through the website is the fact that you haven't got to talk to anyone. So the design templates will be done. The proofing backwards and forwards won't happen because you will upload the artwork. You'll be expected to check it yourself, and if you want us to check it for you, there'll be a cost for that.
Yeah. But this is adding that other option for the customers who don't want to jot down the
Well, yeah, no, absolutely.
Well.
I mean, I have lots of people in here every day having conversations, and some of them stay for an hour, some of them stay most of the day, and it's just because when we get the samples out and the different paper options, the different finishing options, it just opens their eyes to everything that's possible, and it probably causes more issues because they weren't aware of what they could have. So it sends back probably more questions than answers. But ultimately,
too many options.
Yeah, ultimately, it means that they'll go away and think about it and then come back with the right answer. Because what we don't want to do is produce something that's been half thought of and then doesn't have the success. Because obviously, if we do a good job and make a nice box that we think is going to sell, we're going to get more orders. If I make a box that's going to potentially fall apart because they've used the wrong grammage or wrong micron board, or put something in an E flue when it should be a B flue, or used an envelope base when it should be a crash lock, or whatever the different parts are, if they ask me to make something that I don't think is going to work, I won't make it. Because ultimately, somebody else will see it and be like, God, who made that? And then that's when your reputation goes down the swanny, because you've taken on something that you shouldn't have. So yeah, that's something that we won't do.
And with your other bits of kit there downstairs, you said you've got your cutter as well.
Yeah, so we've got a CAD table. So we bought this CAD table that was put in, I think it was August or September last year. I mean, the reason that we had such a delay on bringing all the kit in is because we were growing, the business was growing at such a rate that we were trying to find alternative premises. We couldn't find, we looked for 2 years, couldn't find anywhere to move, so we ended up buying half of the unit that we rented, sort of 10% off. So spent the last 2 years developing the site. And as soon as literally, a wall was up and there was power to the room, I was like, right, let's get the kit in, and got everything in order. So we're at a point now where we're probably weeks away, but it's all just sort of finishing touches to the building, all the major work's done. But yeah, we bought a disc cutting table, and that will cut paper, vinyl. So it will do very similar things to the large one behind me in terms of its kiss cutting capabilities, but it will do paper, vinyl, Foamex, foam, corrugated, solid board. So pretty much anything except for, I didn't buy the routing tool for wood or metal, because although we've started to do a bit more signage since we bought this machine a few weeks ago, we're just dipping our toe in the water. That's not the core of our business. That's not what we're going to be doing. So if it ever came to that, I would probably buy another disc, but buy one that's twice the size. And then this one that I've got would be used for sampling, and then that one would be used for production. But
yeah, that makes sense. And what would be the next? Either what would be your next machine in your process, or what would be like the holy grail of machines that you'd like to have? So
I promised my staff at Christmas last year that because last year was so hectic that I wouldn't buy any more machines. I bought 2 already this year, so hopefully nobody hears me when I say this. But I was talking to you earlier about a hybrid LEJ. rolling machine. So that's an option at the moment for prototyping, and I mean that will print directly to the foam board and such like. I think longer term, depending on how the business goes, there's a number of different options. It could be a larger cutting table. It could be a hybrid version of the UV, because you've got I can't remember the name of it, but the really big one at the back of the
S series,
the S series, where it does like eight times the speed or something ridiculous, isn't it? So the throughput's a lot better. Bigger machine, so I need more space again, so I need to wait and knock some walls down that I've just put up. So that won't be happening for a little while. And then I guess the decision is, do we invest in the kit that gets people out of trouble, which is what we're doing now. It's a case of, I need that and I need it tomorrow, can you do it? We're perfectly set up to do that for anyone. It's just whether I then go into manufacturing in larger numbers. So do I buy KBA die cutter or a flatbed, or I don't think we'll ever get into printing, because there's so many printers that we work with locally that are really good, really reliable, and I've worked with them over 20 years, so there's no point. I don't need that.
There should be more bigger, better, faster, stronger of what you've already got. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's the conversion. It's the bit at the end, because as with most projects, the designer or the creative or the project manager or whoever at the front end will cause a delay because an approval won't happen, and the lead times get shorter and shorter and shorter, and that all ends up on our door. And they're like, well, the project you told us 6 weeks, you've got 2 weeks, can you do it? And it's like, either no, we can't, you have to find somewhere else, or yeah, all right then, we can, but it might be a staggered delivery or whatever it might be. We won't say no if we don't have to, but at the same time, we're never going to take work on and let anyone down. So yeah, it'll just be to make us more efficient. I suppose the other thing that we would potentially look at would be a gluing line. We've looked at quite a few of those in the past for carton work. So we've looked at Mole Brothers. They've got a place down in Essex, but it's an automated gluing line for carton work. So it would put your side seam glue on this. So whereas on short runs of these, anything up to 5,000 or something, we do by hand. But like I said, there was 28,000 of these. That was subbed out because there was no way I was going to have my guys sitting there doing that as a thankless task. But it will also do tipping in. Those machines will do automatic tape application. There's lots of things that they'll do. And it's a funny one, because the machines are great, but you've got to have the volume, because they take, well, depends on what you buy, but some of them take quite a while to make ready. So it might be the case you take 3 hours to make ready on a machine, and you could have had the job done by then if you did it by hand. So it's always a balance of what to have. But yeah, we've got the Swift gluers, which are the gluers for the paper over board, but I don't have sort of like inline like Fidias or Moles or whatever it might be that we're looking at. But again, it's a lot of room. It's quite a lot of money as well. But it's the room, it's the space. That's the issue that we've got at the moment.
And moving on to some of your samples and things. I mean, what's the coolest thing you've had? Or I guess you must be quite a lot. What's the most fun thing that you've?
So the Virgo packs are really cool. So we did one of these for a solar-powered mobile phone charger years ago. It was launched at the Gadget Show, and the number of online videos of people playing with the box, forget the product inside it, it was the box they were interested in, was great. And this is a product that's very tactile, and that's what packaging is all about. So they are always really cool. This is quite a big one that we did recently. We only actually made 6 of these. This is
really smart.
I'll bring it up to the screen, so for Bendix. And then if I can pass you that side of it,
this is really smart.
Open up. And that was just a presentation box. Unfortunately, we had to eat all of the chocolate out of it, but yeah, that was a really cool example.
It looks really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting job, because the green of the covers on the trays had to be Pantone matched. So for the 6 of those, we had to produce, let's say, 100 sheets, because we needed to obviously allow for wastage and getting the colour up to strength and all those sorts of things, and then allowing for laminate. So to produce 6, you have to run 100, so it's very wasteful. But there's no other way you can do it, unless you bought a green paper, obviously, but then it wouldn't be on brand. So
yeah, no, it looks really smart, that.
Yeah, and then we've got lots of different things. I mean, it's great for us. A lot of the time, people don't realise how important it is, but it's always really important for us to get the content. I think alongside the camera. So this is a 3-in-1 range for Ciro, and this is for vaping products. So that was for one of our customers, and what we've done with there is we put the foam on a slight tilt, so it presents the product. So it's got a ridge inside it, so they didn't want them to sit flat. So that's quite cool, and we've done lots of things like that. We've done retail packs for cosmetics companies, drinks companies, confectionery companies. It's nice to get something different. It's always nice to have a challenge, because so many boxes are standard. I mean, that's what's called a Pizza Star box. That's an 0427 on the FEFCO chart. This one is a tongue top. It's actually got the gin in it, actually. So that's the box we did for Gorilla Spirits, so a local gin company. You can see the spot UV here. And then we've also, on our UV printer, overprinted this part after the fact.
Nice, yeah.
So we support a children's charity, and what we've done is this is their normal luxury gift box.
Children's charity.
No, that's for us. This was for the patrons, actually, our winter ball. But we overprinted our logo onto these engagement gifts to all the patrons.
Oh, nice.
But that's the great thing about these machines, is that you can do it after the fact. If I just wanted to do 2 of those, I can do 2. And the only setup that's really involved is the time it takes the designer to prep the file and get the machine ready. So it's nowhere near as labour intensive as traditional methods, but there's still time that's required.
So what other brands of packaging and things do you admire, or do you like? Do I know, as you said earlier, when normally we ask that question, everybody jumps
It's Apple,
to Apple, but I don't know if there's anything else, or maybe if there's anything that you think is on trend at the moment that you like in the market.
So in terms of packaging brands, it's never really the brand. I mean, Apple have really done a cracking job, but it's more for me. It's the construction of the quality of materials. I have the ability to look past the branding, because sometimes people just look at it and go, "Oh, Apple, wow!" And don't get me wrong, like I said, they've nailed it in every which way. But sometimes it's not about what's printed on the box; it's how the box works. Is it the right material? Yeah, all those sorts of things. I mean, what's on trend that we see at the moment, or certainly I see, is that people are more environmentally aware. So they're asking, are the products recycled? Are the products recyclable? Now, recycled is an interesting thing, because sometimes the amount of bleach that you have to put into the pot to make it white again is kind of adversely, defeats the object. It is not good for the environment. Similarly, foil is supposedly a no-no, but when you base it on the amount of foil that's on the substrate, it's so minimal that it's not actually recorded.
Okay, so it's negligible when it comes to
recycling. So we work with obviously lots of different manufacturers and mills and paper companies, most of which are FSC or PEFC approved, which is Forestry Standards Commission. So they'll plant a tree for every time they take one down, and it's all sustainably managed forests. And then the recyclable, I always say to people, it's very much based on where you are, because obviously anybody can have the best intentions to recycling, but if their local authorities don't support that, are you going to go out of your exactly? I know that's the problem. I mean, we have 3 or 4 paper bins, and then we have a mixed recyclables bin, and then a general waste bin. So we want to try and split our waste, because we're very conscious of the environment and our impact on it. But when people ask me about it, I guess the easiest way to be environmentally friendly is to drop your lamination, film lamination. And again, there's arguments and to and for that, because supposedly the amount of lamination is negligible in terms of its impact on whether it's recyclable or not. But again, it depends on where you are and who's recycling it.
Not a straightforward question, is it? If somebody says,
no,
packaging green.
I mean, again, it's like if you look at, you're not going to be able to see this on the camera, but these have just got a standard machine seal on. There's no special finish to apply to this. So because it was for Kinder and it was a food product, we had to do what's called a Robinson test on it, which is a flavour taint test to make sure that the inks used and the paper used didn't impact on the flavour of the chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to do that. So this is an FSC approved board, which is BRC accredited. Then we've had food safe vegetable based inks, especially bought in to do this, which, like I say, then have been Robinson tested. And then we've done bulk manufacturing based on it. That's obviously an OTT if it's a standard product that's holding a pair of shoes or something, but that was something that we needed to do for them. Again, you can't see it on here, but on the gym box, that's got a matte film lamination on it, which is what gives it the ability to, obviously, the spot UV to really pop. Now, that's great, but again, question marks over the laminate. This box, which is the subscription box, is just an uncoated paper, similar to an offset, but it's got different qualities. So again, when we were talking earlier about creasing and things like that, if you use a standard offset paper to mount to a box, you will get fibre tear. on the creases, undoubtedly, because I've done it. But if you get a high quality paper, it will cover and look really nice. And I prefer this look because it's more natural. So the way I will instruct people is, if you're worried about the environment, if you want to cover all your bases, then you'll use recycled board or recyclable, FSC or recycled board if it's readily available, and then you'll just reduce the number of embellishments on your print, because you can make it look just as good on an uncoated stock. The only thing is that designers will support this, where if you're familiar with Pantone colours, you can get a coated and an uncoated version of the same colour.
Yeah,
they'll look different. It's the same as if you have a Pantone colour, but then you try and recreate it out of 4-colour process, and you look at a bridge book, the colours are different. So it just very much depends on so many things, like your environmental policies, your brand policies, because it might be that you can't use an uncoated board because the colour won't come out right, whatever it might be. But it wouldn't surprise me if companies that are going to be starting to challenge that. But again, it's an education thing. I just don't know. I think if somebody's always printed in a PMS 485 red, they've never had to question it, because they've always been told. So they've never thought, what else can I do? Because if you took, and this isn't true, but it might be that if you took a 487 and printed it on an uncoated, it would then look like a 485 when it's on the coated. So it might be that you just have to do a bit of playing around and invest a bit of money in it and do a bit of research. But
checking it out yourself and testing it.
Absolutely, and that's what we do. I mean, we'll with these machines, if we were going to print a job on here, if we're not sure on the colour, we'll just print little swatches, fire the machine up, and we'll write down what the colour values are for each one, send it to the customer, and we'll say, pick which colour you like from 1 to 50 or 1 to 20, whatever it is, and they'll pick the one that they feel is closest to it, and then we just need to make sure we match it time and time again. But as long as we've got something to work to, then it's a lot easier than somebody going, "Oh, can I have a pillar box red?" Because it's like, "Well, what is that?" How faded is your pillar box? So
interesting. All right, well, let's move on to a bit about other people in the industry. So, because obviously you've been through all this, have you got advice for people who are looking to get into packaging, or what were the biggest sort of hurdles and things that you've faced?
So I guess it very much depends on where your focus is going to be, because packaging is a really broad term.
Yeah.
So we talked about this earlier. We touched on it, and packaging can be glass jars, it can be tins, it can be microwavable food cartons, it can be cereal boxes, it can be shipping cartons, it can be anything. So I guess focus on the type of packaging you want to create and why, and then I would obviously run some competitive analysis to work out who's doing it. Are they being successful at it? Why are they being successful at it? What are they doing differently? Because somebody could look at this company from the outside and go, "Well, they're doing right, let's just do what they've done and buy the kit that they've got." But it's not just the machines, it's the people and the customers and the relationship we've got with the suppliers. And like I say earlier, some of the industry giants that have helped us along the way.
And if somebody was trying to do, maybe not, I guess if you're looking to set up a whole packaging production company, but if you're just trying to do a bit on the side, you find that that's easier to do, or is that tricky to dip your toe in?
Yeah, you've got to know what you're doing in terms of the construction, the design element. I mean, you can make, again, it depends what you're going to do. You can make the boxes if somebody supplies you with the components. So you could buy a Swift gluer for probably 5 or 10 grand. And then, if somebody gave you the flat sheets and the die cut grey board, you could stand there all day, putting them together and making them up. Whether you could run a business of it, I don't know, because it depends on how efficient you are, how good you are. Because if you're making mistakes and you're using customer supplied stock, then you're having to replace it because it's going to be rejected. It's a really difficult one to answer because I've been doing it for so long before, and I already had a very good understanding of what worked and what didn't on a larger scale. It was very easy for me, I guess, to look at what issues we had faced in terms of supply, and where the demand was going in terms of what customers were asking for. Because like I say, I've invested now in kit that people don't know what it can do yet. So I've bought a machine to fix a problem that they don't know is a problem, if you see what I mean. So, soon they're going to be like, I've ordered some boxes from China, for example. There's been a terrible storm. The boat's going to be stuck in port. I need 50 boxes. Where can I get them? And I'll be like, well, right here. Yeah. I can make you 50 boxes and you can have them by the end of the week or whatever it might be. it depends on levels of personalisation. I mean, that that box there, probably takes about 5 or 10 minutes to make. Obviously, if you had to do 1,000 of them, you probably wouldn't do it this way. But it's the trick of getting someone out of a sticky situation for either an event that they've got next week or a product launch, or it might just be for dummies. It might be a case of they've got some point of sale going into retail and it's a downloadable product, but they want some dummies to stick on a shelf.
Yeah, that's why I've seen most of the people that I've spoken to who use our UV kit for packaging. Most of it's for the prototyping side of it. It's interesting to speak to someone who's more into the small end production.
For us, it's all on small end production, and it's on the marketing side. So it's personalising it from a marketing point of view. We want to give people the opportunity. If I wanted to, not necessarily Kinder, but if I wanted to send a box about me and what my business does to you, Joe, I would want to send it in a box that's got your name on it. That's got product inside that's got your name on it. So at the moment we're creating, and I haven't got one here because it's been taken out of me, but some onboarding packs which are paper overboard boxes that are made in house, that are overprinted in house, and then inside it you've got an A6 notebook, a pen, and a USB. And what we've done is we've created a jig, so the lid of the box and the pen, the USB, and the notebook are all printed in one pass.
Oh, brilliant.
So if you said, "Oh, can I have one for Joe, one for Paul, one for Dave?" I'll be like, "Yeah, that's fine." And we just set the artwork up on the jig we've already got.
That's smart,
So whether you're onboarding a new client or a new member of staff or whatever it might be, or a new partner, it's whatever you want it to be. But the problem is, because it doesn't exist, we're having to generate interest. I mean, I've shown those onboarding packs to probably 4 or 5 customers so far because it's so new, and 2 of them have already ordered. So they look at it and they're like, "Wow, we want that." One of them took the USB out and put some Bluetooth headphones in, but the content can be whatever you want it to be because we're making the boxes on site to suit
principle of what you're doing.
to suit what you want. And it might be that they said, rather than making them all from scratch, they might say, "Well, actually, we want to put foil and this and that and everything else." So it might be that we make the box. Let's say that's the box, and we could make 1,000 of those, and then they could say, "We've got 5 new starters this month. Can you put that one name, name 1, name 2, name 3, name 4, name 5, pack them in, put the content in, either send it to their home address or to us in the office or whatever it might be." And I think that's going to be huge because there's a great thing on social media and LinkedIn at the moment based on onboarding of new staff and what they're getting. There's a big thing about people posting up saying, "Oh, I'm starting off at the first day of a new job and I've got this pack and I've got these branded goodies and all those sorts of things." And it's definitely the way we're going. People are more aware. There's a lot more employee engagement. There's a lot more engagement in social media. So anything that can be personalised will have an instant impact. If you receive a plain box, you can open it, you can take out what's inside it, and you're going to probably put it to one side. If you get a box that's got your name or your photo or your football team or whatever it might be on the front, then you're going to be a lot more engaged and you're going to be like, "How on earth has this happened?"
I've had it happen once for me. That's the only thing that I received a box of. We were talking earlier. I think you were doing some samples, some products that we saw downstairs of some beard grooming stuff. Which is pretty popular at the moment. I've just shaved mine off. Literally yesterday. That's why he's not there at the minute. But I received a beard grooming kit and it had my name on it from one of our customers actually.
Yeah, brilliant.
And I've still got the box for all my, which sits on my shelf with all my bits in.
It's incredible. It really is. And we've done the same for all the staff here since we've had the machine. We've done notebooks from, we've done pens from, USBs from, just to make them feel a bit special because it is nice and it's. I don't know, when you talk about it, it sounds a bit Blue Peter. But when you see it, the quality is incredible. It competes, with the white inks and the clear inks and stuff on the UV. To set up a spot UV on a standard press, you're talking 150, 200 pounds, something like that, just for the spot UV element. Obviously, if you put it through one of these, it's going to cost so.
Nice.
$149.99.
For cheap mates rates. Let's have a quick look and see if we've got any questions that have come in. Where's my questions? A second. Doesn't look like any have come in at the minute. Let's just quickly ask. No, doesn't look like we've got any questions at the minute.
Must be answering everything.
Yeah, well, we did have a little list of things that we've been talking about. It looks like we ticked off just about everything off there.
Fantastic.
Do you want to just quickly tell us your contact details, so like the website, social media, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so the website is www.thepackagingexperts.co.uk. We're based in Basingstoke. Our telephone number is 01256 352 415. All of our contact information is on the website. We are active on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, possibly Twitter, not sure.
All of the usual bits,
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, so what we'll do as well is, if we mentioned earlier, we didn't manage to get it prepped in time. I was going to show you a quick video from these guys. So anybody who joined the webinar or registered for the webinar, will send out a quick link to that video as well. And if anybody wants to get in touch, you've got the contact details for Paul and these guys here, and for us.
More than happy to help.
But thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the session.
Thank you. Paul. Yeah, thank you very much.